time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
I love you. Thank you for joining us, every one of you.
That's right.
This will be productively, financially, the best program you can watch today.
Wow.
I just thought I'd tell you that because when you leave today's interview, you will say to yourself, I want that book and I want to begin today. Tell them about this guy and his beautiful wife. Wow.
That's right. We have Tim Redmond and his beautiful wife, Sandy. Did I say Tim? Yeah. Brings, I don't know. I'm having a problem here this morning.
No, she's okay. Okay, this is a special day, and when she came in today, I had red roses with a card sitting on her desk. Think of that one.
Because it was Valentine's.
Well, no, okay, I was going to tell you.
Why else? Okay. Well, anyway, Tim brings significant growth and transformation to church businesses and government leaders around the globe.
Every place.
With over 25 years of business, ministry, and consulting experience, along with his extensive studies of the Jewish mindsets toward relationships, business, and finances, Tim uses an innovative and humorous delivery that brings lasting results.
And we need
We're going to
humor.
meet both of them. That's
and
right.
Sandy speaks to women's groups, and she is a well-known public speaker.
Great.
So
let's go meet him right now.
Use the website to just keep them so busy. They'll say, why did we ever go on that program?
Yes, this is so good to be here.
Good to be here.
Do you like sing or speaking? I was
Yes,
going to say, you
yes.
sing?
No, I don't
Okay.
sing. My mom wanted me to, but I never.
She looks like a singer, too.
I've had a lot of people tell me
Have
that.
you really? Yeah. Because singers, it's like bankers. Bankers, you ever know if they look, or accountants?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You look like an accountant, are
Yeah.
you? Yeah, I am. It's like,
Yeah.
So
Well, I like for her to sing to me, so that's good.
There you go. Oh, that's nice.
the other day we did an interview, and the couple, they were just fabulous. And after we finished the interview, they sang a song together.
I know, it's beautiful.
And I mean, we're going, why didn't we do that on the show? Because it was just fabulous.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was just impromptu. But apparently they do that, like just to release
amazing.
tension.
Yeah. Well, that's not what we do. So if
He
you
does
ask,
play the harmonica, though, so we could have him do a
Do you
giant
really?
oh,
harmonica.
I love the harmonica.
Her dad played.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Now,
You're right, that kind of...
Now, what is your background? I mean, your nationality. Give me a little feedback.
Well, I grew up in a very large family, 11 kids, good Irish Catholic people here.
Goodness.
My parents wanted to replenish the earth all by themselves.
Sure. Yeah.
And
They get to heaven that way, the more kids they have, man,
that's status.
Okay, come on in.
Yeah. And so, but I grew up and studied business. I worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Coopers and Lybrand, Pricewaterhouse, for a number of years, and as a CPA, and then I helped grow a software company. It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I helped grow a software company from 2 employees to about 450 employees before we sold it to a Fortune 1000 company.
Okay, tell me what software company, what do they do?
Okay.
They have a lot of things that's very soft, right?
Yeah. Okay. It was actually focused on business. So the company that bought us was into it, the Quicken, TurboTax, QuickBooks.
Yeah.
And so I went to work for them for a while. And then after that, we really had a heart to reach leaders, upper echelon leaders in cities, in developing countries that the church wasn't really effectively reaching. So we began to do crusades, business crusades, to attract these high-level thinkers and the movers and shakers. And we talk their language, and then we bring them to Jesus at the end of the end of our seminar.
How did you find Christ as your Savior?
Well, I was raised in this Catholic family, and Mom and Dad met the Lord when I was 7 years old, and got filled with the Holy Spirit, and they introduced me to that at that time, and I jumped in with both feet.
And then how did you meet Sandy?
Well, I was dating his best friend, so that was...
Wow. So when you saw her with your best friend, what did you think?
He does not have the capacity to handle her, but I do.
But I do.
Now, where we
She
met,
needs to be right here.
where we met was in a weight room, and so she looked at him lifting weights. Then she looked over at me and says, "I'm dating the wrong guy."
Wow. Oh. Wow.
Well, that's my story.
So he had better abs than the other guy.
Oh, yeah, and biceps.
So what did you think? I mean, you're dating his best friend. Did you look at him and go, whoops?
I went, wow.
Oh, okay.
No. That's what he says. He has a little story. But, no, basically, I mean, his friend and I, we weren't super serious,
Yeah.
but we had gone out a few times. And one of my girlfriends who had gone to school with him in college kept saying, "Sandy, you need to meet Tim Redmond. He's amazing." He was like the spiritual leader on our campus. So kind of perked my interest and, you know, sounded like the kind of guy I was interested in. And so sure enough, we had a couple of lunches together, and next thing you know, we're in a relationship.
I love to hear her tell this story.
You should. I love cage fighting. And you're going to wonder why. You look like Chael Sonnen. He's one of the top guys.
Well, there you
Chael
go.
Sonnen.
Yeah.
And
I used to wrestle.
Wrestle.
And he says it like I did.
In Oklahoma, we wrestle.
Are you an OU fan?
I'm an OU fan. We're big OU fans.
Our
Boomer
son-in-law is just crazy
He's got logos on his. He's a pastor down here in Sarasota.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got logos on his back window, on his keys. We bought him a golf bag, OU on it. I mean, watches he wears with OU on
I've
it.
got to meet this man here.
I mean, he's a fanatic.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. Being here, you guys are here in Florida.
Yeah, I know.
So do you have anybody ever said you look like Chael Sonnen?
I don't think I've heard that, but I've had people say that I look like this person or that person, and a lot of times it's somebody in the martial arts, and so that may have been the same guy, and I just haven't locked it. I love watching the whole UFC fighting.
Isn't that the greatest thing?
I think it is. My wife disagrees.
I agree with you.
I am so hooked.
I have to go in the other room and shut the door because I get so sick
I
of
love
it.
to vicariously live through these
that's
guys.
what I do.
Here.
I mean, I'm 74. If
There's
one of those,
no way. 74, really?
Yeah. If one of those guys hit me, I'm in a casket.
Yeah.
That quick.
I say, why do you want to see a man beating up another man?
That's what I say too, and I have
But
3 boys.
they
and
hug,
they're all
don't
into
they?
it, too.
Afterwards,
they're very
they're
sweet.
bloody and everything, but they hug each other.
Yeah.
And
There's love in
And
that
they
ring.
pray over each other with their bloody faces. I mean, give me a break.
Okay, Pastor Soto in the book.
Okay.
And let's start there, and then I want to move on to the pancake lady.
Yeah.
Let's begin there.
Okay. I went down with a friend of mine down to Costa Rica, and we were doing these big meetings here. And Pastor Soto, he came into his church, this huge church. It set 4,000 people. And we're doing this conference.
Now tell the background on how that became.
Okay. So I said, this is an amazing building. Yeah, all paid for. Everything's ready to go on this thing. We're growing. We're just reaching this nation. I said, how did this happen? He said, it all began with a pancake lady. I go, what? This city was in a state of atrophy. It was in a state of just winding down. There's no future. The businesses were going nowhere. The young people were moving out of the city as quick as they can because there's no future there. And he said, there's got to be a way to reverse this curse. And he taught one Sunday, he taught this sermon on the parable of the talents, and then did something very unusual to a call of action. He brought them to the altar, and then he began to give them equivalent to just a few dollars a piece, and says, take your gift, use your gift, double it, and bring it back to the church. Double this and bring it back to the church. Double it. Use your gift and begin to double this money. He approached this one lady and says, you've got to take your gift and double this money. She took a step back and says, there's no way. I don't have a gift. I don't have a talent. Don't put this pressure on me. Her husband had just left her. She had 3 kids. They were almost starving to death. She was very needy. She had no hope, and she was down on herself. This hopelessness just drives out any sense of capacity to see the opportunity in front of you. But Pastor Soto insisted, he leaned into her, a lot like you've done over the years, leaned into the greatness of people and says, you've got to be able to do something with this. Says, the only thing I know how to do is make pancakes, and everybody knows how to make pancakes. So you begin to diminish, the little gift that you have. She goes, you know how to make pancakes? Take these few dollars and get all the pancake ingredients you can, feed your kids, and bring the rest of it down early to where all the merchants gather. Early in the morning, they're going to buy your pancakes. I don't think they're going to buy my pancakes. Well, she did it anyways. She came running in the next day. She said, Pastor Soto, they bought all my pancakes. She says, keep all your money, buy some more stuff, do it again day after day after day after day. It began to grow, and she eventually grew into this multi-million-dollar complex in this small village and sparked an economic revolution. It was amazing.
Wow.
Other business people said, is this the lady whose husband's left her and she was destitute, no hope, and she's showing us how to do business?
Pancake lady.
And they began to copy her, and it sparked an economic revolution in this village. The village just exploded in growth, caught the attention of the president. The president calls Pastor Soto. Says, Pastor Soto, what have you done in this city, and can you help us do it somewhere, other places in our country? We need this help. He goes, yes, I'd love to be able to help you that, but the person chiefly responsible is here in my office talking to me. I want you to talk to her. We call her the pancake lady. And it was the pancake lady that sparked this economic revolution, making pancakes.
And he came from just a little nothing in a 4,000-seat auditorium.
It exploded. He said just a few years ago, he said, Tim, just a few years ago, this was a cow pasture.
Yes.
With no hope of being anything other than that. And it just, when you begin to use this gift that God gave you on the inside, this power to create, you begin to defy the things around you. You begin to reverse the curse, and amazing things begin to happen.
Sandy, have you seen that in his life?
Yes, very much. In fact, it's interesting because when we were dating, and I think we had just gotten engaged, I actually had a dream one night that he was going to write a book that was going to help bring balance to the body of Christ. I didn't know what or the topic or anything, and at that time we're young and in our early 20s, and you don't know the direction you're going. He was just starting into business with this software company, but yet to see over the years what has developed and transpired in his life.
So he's used his gifts the same way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did you know you were gifted? Did you know that?
I knew God had a call on me. I knew that I had desires towards things, but I hadn't articulated it. People say God's got a plan for you, but that meant nothing because I heard it so many times.
That's right. Everybody says God's got a plan.
It can almost put pressure on you.
Everybody reads the same script.
Exactly.
And everybody makes pancakes. And so we diminish what we've been given.
Right.
And so God began to, after we sold this company for multiple millions of dollars, God spoke to me.
Well, you could have retired and just lived on an island.
Oh, things began to get
So
exciting.
God talked to you. Go ahead, back to that. Yeah.
So he began to talk to me. And he says, I'm going to teach you about wealth. And I said, Lord, I helped. The founder of this company, the primary owner of this company, I said, I helped him generate over $120 million in profits over the last 15 years. I know something about wealth. He said, I'm going to teach you about wealth in a whole new way. Watch me, follow me. And he began to peel back of the revelation that's contained in this book and this curriculum about how this power to create wealth isn't just for the guy over there, the business owner, the pastor of the big church, or these great people that run this TV show, but it's to every believer in the body of Christ.
I like what you say. Money is a great follower, but a bad leader.
Yeah, whatever you pursue, it's going to begin to control you in some way. Whatever you begin to pursue, you begin to serve it. So if you pursue money, you begin to serve money instead of it serving you. Jesus said in Luke 16:11, he said, how can I trust you with the true riches of heaven if you don't master the money system on earth? Wow. And so he wants us to master
And
the
it's
money
not
system.
to get for ourselves, because all through your book, you talk about He will allow you to be prosperous when you start moving that prosperity to other people.
Yeah, here's the challenge we have here, and Herman, this is a distinct difference between this and a lot of prosperity books. That to a businessman, and I'm still very actively coaching business, turning around businesses and doing all that. To a businessman, it was like a turnoff because it seemed very self-centered. You know, come and give to my ministry and God's going to multiply many times back. Well, there is some great truth to that. Continue giving to your church and other ministries like this. Continue doing that. But the whole idea of wealth it's all about what I can get to come to me, and that's not the focus of God. It's what you can create to serve other people. Then all these things are added to you. That's what Jesus said.
You talk about, in the book, 2 kingdoms and 2 economic systems.
Yes.
And you talk about the kingdom of God and the kingdom of darkness.
Yes.
So there's 2 systems.
2 systems. There's 2 lords or 2 gods, the God of this world, Satan,
Yes.
and the God of the whole universe, the Lord of Lords, which is God. And each of them has an economic system that reflects their nature. The nature of God is abundance. Everything He does is abundance. Even Jesus on the cross, it would have been only 1 drop of his innocent blood shed would have covered it. But He poured it all out. He filled up both boats with these fish. Anytime He met a need, He met it with abundance, this overflowing with wine. See, it's the abundance of God that He doesn't just meet a need, but He meets it with abundance. Versus the kingdom of darkness is this kingdom of scarcity. And so it believes that there's never enough, and there's never going to be enough, and I'm not enough. And if that's the case, then I've got to strive. I've got to seek after. I got to say, I may like you, but I got to run over you to get after this because there's not enough to go around for you and me. And it shifts us into a completely different mentality.
Yeah.
Almost the mentality politically that we're involved in now.
Wow.
Where it's like wealthy people are becoming a pariah.
Yeah.
And you know, like I was telling her, I said, if this continues, a guy driving a Mercedes is going to have rocks in his windshield.
Right. When we began to look at wealth and wealthy people automatically as evil people, instead of people that learned how to create something very valuable and made it very attractive for people to buy into a whole lot of times, because that's what wealth from God's kingdom, wealth from this book's perspective is going to completely shift the people watching the show. The people that love your show and watch this, it's going to shift their thinking, because it's not about what comes to you, but what flows from you that is the beginning part of wealth.
Talk about the pioneer woman. She came from a country club life and ended up in Oklahoma as a cowgirl.
As a cowgirl on this ranch. She wanted to be this journalist in this big city of Chicago, and had this great degree from USC in California, and fell in love with this cowboy and found herself on a ranch
In Oklahoma.
In the middle of nowhere.
I mean, she wasn't at nowhere, but she could see nowhere from the front porch. You know, I mean, she was right there, and it was one of these stories where she made lemonade out of the lemons that was served to her. She took the ranch life and her love for writing and taking pictures, and she created this blog called The Pioneer Woman. And now she's got 4 million views a month looking at that. She's a multi-millionaire just from the blog alone, telling her story about living on this ranch. People all over the world are watching her. She took what was in her hand and what was in her heart, and God multiplied that into a powerful, powerful process.
Wow.
The unlimited nature of wealth. Talk about that.
I'm so glad, Herman, you brought this up, because what we do is we look at what we have in our hand and we say that's the end of it. When Jesus takes something in his hand, let's say a loaf of bread or a fish, he multiplies it. And when we begin to think about wealth from God's perspective, it's not about how much you can gather. All these things are added to you for creating wealth. Wealth's something you create. When you begin to do the right thing with wealth, you begin to create value. It's like the richest countries in the world, they don't look at resources of whatever they can pull out of the ground. It's what they can pull out of the ground and mix their creativity to that multiplies that.
Pancake lady again.
The pancake lady. Or check this out. Take the fuel injector in an automobile that came out several decades ago that literally doubled the oil supply. Why was that? Because the technology or creativity allowed the use of that resource to multiply.
You talk about, these are your comments, true wealth is focused more on creating value to serve others than it is on accumulating possessions.
Is exactly.
Now, that's a
good thing to
truth
learn.
that we forget about, because we like, the guy's, how does he drive that Mercedes? And we're looking at, well, maybe if I do what he does, I'll get a Mercedes. But that's not the idea. If you have the money to buy a Mercedes, maybe the Lord wants you to use that finance to help someone else.
Right.
Not to get the Mercedes, but to help someone else.
And Herman, I'm going to go a step beyond that, because as Christians, we focus about how much money can I gather instead of creating a stream of value that flows out of our life through our business or through our work or whatever, that has a continual attraction of new money coming in. So this month, it may not be buying the Mercedes. It may be helping to get this show funded for the next month, or it may be helping to get...
you're great in missions.
Yeah, or great in missions, or going out there and building these 3 new churches here. And next month, because you're involved in creating value to serve other people, the money keeps coming in.
Yeah.
We're obsessed with chasing after money. We're chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's not how much we accumulate. Interestingly enough, since World War II,
Yes.
our stuff that we got has more than doubled, and yet our rate of depression has increased by some estimates 10 times.
Yeah.
Having stuff is not the key.
Yeah.
It's creating value to serve other people that is finally satisfies our heart. And when we do it in the right way, and we talk about actual ways and steps and processes to create wealth so it does maximize the money and the reward that comes to you, then you can give that much more.
These are your words. In God's kingdom, wealth focuses on seeing the needs of other people and meeting their needs in creative ways.
Yes. I've got to say this first of all. I've done dozens and dozens of interviews, and there are very few interviewers that read a book from cover to cover. And I want to tell you, this guy on this show is just absolutely amazing that he does this. You're pulling out my best stuff on this. This is excellent here.
Very good.
What did you say again? I'm so overwhelmed by you actually reading the
We're
book.
talking about in God's kingdom.
Yeah.
Wealth focuses on seeing the needs of other people and meeting those needs in creative
Right.
ways. So instead of looking like this or holding the mirror up, God's way is seeing what you need
Yeah.
and allowing me in my creative ways
to meet it.
to fulfill that.
Exactly. That's the difference between the 2 economic systems. Abundance is other focus. How can I help you? Because we know wealth happens when I solve your problem, and to the degree I solve your problem, I'm going to attract reward for that.
Amazing. Yeah.
Now, when we are chasing after money, we're so concerned about chasing after and getting money and not the kingdom work. The kingdom work is meeting the needs of other people, having Jesus in me show up in a tangible and powerful way to meet your need.
You talk about purpose changes everything. Purpose changes, get that right, and it'll change everything.
Yeah. We have been created by a purposeful God. We've been created on purpose, for a purpose, to fulfill a purpose. This power to create gift, this power to create wealth gift that God gave us, is pregnant with purpose to help us fulfill our purpose.
Wow.
And unless we're fulfilling our purpose, we aren't going to be happy and fulfilled as people.
You say money can certainly be helpful, but it is actually the lowest form of wealth. I love that statement.
That's a deep thought.
You got to think about that. I love that.
Yeah, because when you
I'd like to have that on my desk. Right, you know, that little motto right in front there, that'd be great.
Yeah, just put Tim Redmond below
that's
there.
right.
Just
By Tim, yeah.
Remember my missions program.
That's right.
Okay, so now think about this, though. Money is a facilitator of what wealth really is. Wealth is the value that we create and we exchange with one another. Okay, to help facilitate the exchange of the real wealth, which is the value. It may be a Mercedes-Benz that I create, or it may be a garden that I hoe, or it may be wiring that I put together to fix your computer, or
like
software. That's the value. And so people don't want the money so much as they want the value, so they use the money.
Yes,
That's a
exactly.
lower form of wealth to help get the main thing they want, which is the value that you, Sharron, have created that will bless me.
He says, first be fruitful, then multiply. And he has 8 powerful guidelines. And in fact, he even has in the back of the book, when you get your copy, Tim's Hallway of Heroes.
Yes. Well,
That's the first time I've ever seen that hallway.
Okay, so let me tell you the story on that with the publisher.
We got about, what, 1 minute? About 1 minute.
Okay, I had pastors and leaders from around the nation respond to this, some in foreign countries. I had 50 responses of people endorsing this book and this curriculum. And so the publisher said, we can't start page 1 on page 30, so we can't use all these quotes. I said, yes, we can.
Yeah.
These are my heroes.
Wow.
So we created an appendix, Tim's Hallway of Heroes.
First time I've ever seen that, because I read a lot of books. And I'm going, this is weird.
That's neat.
But something really important. First be fruitful, then multiply is one of the first principles God has for us for growing our life and business.
Get the priorities right.
Get the priorities right. Don't multiply until you first become fruitful with what you have.
Sandy, can you reach me that Bible?
Sure
Thank
can.
you.
That's the main book.
Yes, right.
This you need. There on your screen, you can order your copy, and we just covered the surface of this. But let me tell you something. Great book. This is the greatest book. Spend enough time today to read at least 2 chapters. I have people say, do you actually do that? I actually read more than that a day. Jesus Christ will change your life. God bless you. Bye-bye.
You are invited to tune in each week to The Good Life, hosted by CTN founder and president Bob and Jane DeAndre. This program features inspirational and informative interviews, anointed music, and special reports. Don't miss The Good Life, Friday nights at 9 p.m. and Monday mornings at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Christian Television Network.
Millions of people live in spiritual darkness without hope. The My Hope World Television Project is mobilizing millions of Christians to share the gospel in their homes using local language television broadcasts as a tool for personal evangelism. The My Hope Project has already helped more than 6 million people make a decision for Jesus Christ. For more information, please call 1-800-961-6796 or visit billygraham.org/TV.
Watch Life Today, weekdays as James and Betty Robison provide real answers to real problems through compelling guests and miraculous testimonies. Witness God's love through inspiration, hope, and life. Join us in making a real difference in our world by changing countless lives and building stronger families. Don't miss Life Today with James and Betty Robison, weekdays on this station.
How can a known poison that exists in our food supply, our medication,